How did I survive my childhood? It's a difficult question. I don't know. At times, I felt like it was impossible for me to carry on with this. It was too difficult, it was too heavy, it was too exhausting even, right? It was too isolating to be a kid with asthma in the 70s. There were nights where I had to go to my parents' room because I was too scared that I wouldn't wake up in the morning because of asthma. It was super scary to have severe asthma, but not knowing that you had this condition. It means that you don't know if there's a treatment ahead, you don't know if you'll live to see the next day. My mom told me that she was actually very worried when I was a small kid, an infant. She could hear quite early that I didn't breathe in a normal way. But it took until maybe I was 6 or 7 years old before I actually got a diagnosis. And no one can promise you anything because they don't know either. It was a very early time in recognizing also what asthma is. I think probably a lot of young asthmatics died at the time, also because of exhaustion and similar. One day I was at a library, I saw in a free newspaper there was a project. And in that project they proposed to select 6 asthma patients from Denmark. They proposed to put them through a training program, a running program. And then they said, we believe after that process, a process of maybe 8 to 9 months, that you'll be able to compete a marathon. And not just any marathon, but the New York City Marathon. My belief was that I, as an asthmatic, could not do sports. It was impossible. There was in the newspaper ads an email address that I could write. After a while I got a response that they were interested in knowing more about me and my condition, and that's when things started to move ahead. There were many moments where I was struggling even to breathe. I was struggling to get through a training session. I didn't want to fall behind because I had this experience many times, and if I was falling behind with other asthmatics, then it didn't reflect well on my self-image. Eventually it was time to go to New York. Now there was a finish line more than 42 kilometers away, and I perhaps have only ever managed half that distance. And before I even entered this project, I'd never broken the 10-kilometer limit. It was a feeling of being an explorer once I passed the 21-kilometer line, when you just see the amount of spectators that are in there and you hear the roar. The audio is so loud at the time, and you have this First Avenue going on, you know, into infinity, it feels at the time. It feels like you're entering a new sphere of life, and basically that you have to reinvent your life again once more. The finish line starts to appear in the distance. You see the time on top of the finish line, and then you're thinking, what can go wrong at this point? You are just trying to summon all your energy and make whatever sprint you can towards the finish line. It's an out-of-body experience once you step across the finish line. You look at yourself, but you don't feel that you're inside your body, right? You feel your body is acting per reflex, while your mind is somewhere else, right? Somewhere between exhaustion and also happiness at the same time. It's surreal. soon after the race, I started to realize that perhaps I've been lucky, right, in the sense that I've been able to turn my situation around and make something useful of it. So I started to work with a patient network called the European Lung Foundation, and it felt like home base because I was connecting science with my own condition as a patient. I've been speaking with hundreds of patients. Then you start thinking about prevention. You start thinking about what can I do for other people not to get in a situation like this. I realized that particularly air pollution, climate change are issues that patients care about. And that's when I took up advocating against air pollution and for coping with the climate change as well. I went on to run a race on stairs, to race on the longest staircases in the world, both in Norway and in Switzerland, and even mountain marathons where you go up a mountain while you're running a marathon. And my story tells me that you can overcome and that we can also together overcome. And we can change the direction of life. We can make people live good life, great life even. Policymakers have big responsibilities for the societies that we live on, but they're also just people. I think it's important for us to make our voice heard, to let them know that there is no shortcut here. If you make a short-term solution, it's actually a more unhealthy, more expensive solution. The easy fix is to think long-term and make radical changes. And that's why I also go against new fuels, biofuels.